Welcome back to another lesson from Soflex Math. Those of you in the Mastery course, great job. You are cruising right along with us, and we are really beginning to understand this math material. So we're continuing on with fractions, and we're going to add fractions, but this time it's a tiny bit different. So this time we're going to have unlike denominators. Denominator's the bottom, unlike, not the same. So here we have a 5 as our denominator and a 4 as our denominator. So our rules change. We can no longer just add. A lot of people just like to say 3 plus 1 is 4, 5 plus 4 is 9. That's not how it works. We need to find the common denominator. So our job is to come up with what number is the same at the bottom of 5 and 4 when we talk about multiples. So something we're going to try to find are the least common multiple, and some people call it the least common denominator. So what does that mean? That means we're going to have to do like we did in our previous least common multiples lesson. We're going to list some some multiples of 5. So we're going to count by 5s. So 5, 10, 15, and 20. We're going to do the same thing by 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20 until we find the least common multiple, and in this case it's going to be our least common denominator because that's the first number that matched as we were doing our multiples. So we're going to rewrite our problem. So our denominator is now a 20, which means our answer is going to start as a 20. We may still have to simplify, but we have a 20 there. Alright, so now what we have to think though is, how did I go, it wasn't magic, from 5 to get to a 20? Well, I multiplied 5 times 4. 5 times 4 got me to 20, which means this 3, the top, I'm going to have to multiply by the same number. We cannot do different numbers. So 3 times 4 is 12. So these are equivalent fractions. 3/5 and 12/20 are the exact same amount, but we're just representing them so that we can both have a 20 at the bottom. Okay, same with this next one, this 4 to 20. This time I multiplied that one by 5. Which means I need to multiply the numerator of that part by 5. So 5 times 1 is 5. So notice how this whole section, this whole problem, was both multiplied by 4 to get our new fraction. This whole section over here, top and bottom, was multiplied by 5 to get to our answer. So the sections, the fractions, you have to multiply by the same number, both by 4s. Both by 5s, both by 10s, whatever it happens to be for each individual problem. Now that I have the same denominator, we can go back to our previous lessons and we just add straight across. So 12 plus 5 is 17. And luckily, that one is already in simplest form, so there's nothing to do. Why? Because 17 is a prime number. So the greatest common factor of 17 and 20 is 1. So if we tried to divide each, as we know, by 1, we're just going to end up with the same answer over and over again. So that's why we don't even have to do that step. So 17/20 is our answer. So we're going to do a few more examples because this is very new and a little bit trickier. I'm going to write the next problem. We'll write it up and down vertically so that we can kind of see how this all works a little bit neater than this first page. Okay, so this one, moving forward, is how we're going to want to solve that problem. We're going to want to solve it vertically, which means up and down, because it's going to be a lot easier to organize our thoughts and all of our things. So we have 6/7 plus 2/5. Okay, denominators are different, so we have to find the same denominator. So we ask the question. So question 1 is, what is the least common multiple? So LCM of 5 and 7. So you can, if you want to pause and try it on your own, I'm going to kind of walk through it though. So you can just list all of the 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and then count by 7s, 7, 14, 21, 28, and 35. So I could do that one in my head and you'll get the hang of it too. So our denominator is now 35. So the second step is to ask that question. 7 times what equals 35? 5. Whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So they both have to be multiplied by 5 to keep it equivalent or keep it the same amount. So 6 times 5 is a 30. Okay, down to the bottom, we say, how do we get from 5 to 35? I just gave you the answer. We multiply by 7. If we did that on the bottom, we're going to have to do it to the numerator at the top. And then 2 times 7 is 14. So our new problem, our new addition problem, is 30 35ths plus 14 35ths. So we can right away rewrite our denominator because we know it's going to be 35 because we have a common denominator now. Then we're going to add the tops. 30 plus 14 is 44. All right, as we remember, that is something we call an improper fraction. That's not simplest form. We need to make it into a mixed number. So we're going to say how many 35s can fit into 44. That answer is going to be 1. We have to think, okay, what's the remainder? So 44 minus 35 is 9. Denominator or divisor was the same, 35. And that is our new simplest form answer. So the answer, going back to our original problem, 6/7 plus 2/5 is 1 and 9 35ths. 30 35ths plus 14 35ths is the same amount and the same answer. So I just want you to realize the way that they both are the same, the way they look. All right, we have a couple more we're going to look at here. Okay, so this time we have 1/8 plus 3/5. So we're going to try to do the same kind of idea. We'll find the least common multiple of 8 and 5. And in this case, it's 40. So even though I'm doing that part in my head, we'll show you the steps. We're going to do 5 times 8 and 3 times 8. And then we're going to do 8 times 5 and 1 times 5. All right, if you're unsure how to get the 40, we just did the least common multiple of the 8 and the 5. And then you'd list those all out, and our first number that's common would be 40. Okay, and then we're going to add. So our new answer is going to be 29 over 40, and nothing needs to be simplified there. 5 plus 24 is 29. Our new denominator stays the same. All right, so one last question, one last problem let's look at together. All right, so our final problem that we're going to do together today is 1/3 plus 7/10. Okay, we're going to find the least common multiple. So least, we'll write that somewhere up here. So least common multiple of 3 and 10, in case you want to go back and look at the notes or that we're taking here to see what to do. Which means, once again, I'm sorry. Let me erase that for a second. So we're going to count by our 3's. So 3, 6, 9, and so on. We're going to count by 10's and so on until we find one that matches. And our first one that matches is going to be the number 30. We're going to ask those questions then. 3 times what equals 30? 10. Which means 1 times 10 equals 10. 10 times 3 equals 30. So 7 times 3 equals 21. 10 plus 21 is 31 over 30. Okay, improper fraction, our numerator is greater than the denominator. So we have to divide. How many 30s go into 31? 1. What's left over? 1. Denominator or divisor stays the same. So our final simplified answer to this would be 1 and 1/30. So feel free to go through the practice problems and put any questions in the comments, and I'll help you out with those. And we'll see you in our next lesson where we're going to be subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. Thanks for watching Soflex Math.